I stared at the divorce papers resting on the mahogany surface of my desk, the edges crisp and sharp against the dark wood. My hands weren't trembling from sadness, though a casual observer might have thought so. No, the tremor in my fingers was a cocktail of suppressed rage and a terrifying, cold disbelief. The words jumped out from Daniel Harrison's legal statement like a physical slap, stinging my cheeks. Wife has demonstrated consistent financial incompetence and an inability to contribute meaningfully to our marriage. My name is Judith Kennedy, and at 30 years old, I had been called many things: obsessive, workaholic, introverted, but financially useless? That was a new one. Coming from my husband of 5 years, a man whose real estate empire was largely built on leveraging debt and charm, the irony would have been laughable if it didn't hurt so much. I swiveled my chair, looking through the glass walls of my office. Amanda Martinez, my executive secretary, was sitting at her desk. She was giggling at something on her phone, twirling a lock of hair around a manicured finger. She had been acting strange lately, taking 2-hour lunches, making hushed phone calls in the break room, and showing a sudden, intense interest in the closed-door meetings I'd been having with venture capitalists. Now, noting the Louis Vuitton bag perched on her desk, a bag that cost more than her monthly salary, the pieces of the puzzle began to click into place with the satisfying, sickening snap of a bear trap. A notification chimed on my laptop, pulling me back from the precipice of an emotional breakdown. It was an email from the acquisition team at Titan Tech. Subject: Final Deal Memorandum, Project Athena. The deal was nearly complete. My little project, as Daniel liked to call it, a specialized AI software company focusing on predictive market analysis, was being acquired. The prompt mentioned I had kept the negotiations strictly confidential. Not out of malice, but because in Silicon Valley, you don't count your chickens until the wire transfer hits. And perhaps, subconsciously, because I knew Daniel. He had always dismissed my work. "You're just playing with computers, Judith," he'd say, rolling his eyes as he headed out to another networking dinner that smelled suspiciously like expensive perfume. "Real wealth is in dirt, property, things you can touch." "Judith?" Amanda's voice sliced through my thoughts. She poked her head into my office, her expression a mask of feigned innocence. "Daniel called. He said he'll be sending movers to pick up his things this weekend. He wants the garage cleared out." "Thank you, Amanda," I replied. My voice was steady. Too steady. She smirked, turning away. As she moved, the sunlight from the window caught the sparkle of a diamond tennis bracelet on her wrist. I froze. It was the exact same custom design Daniel's mother had given me for our first anniversary. A piece I had lost 3 months ago. The air in the room seemed to vanish. I turned back to my laptop, my heart hammering a war drum against my ribs. I opened the secure administrative console. First thing tomorrow, I would revoke Amanda's access to our systems. It was standard protocol for an employee about to give notice, and I was certain her resignation was imminent. But then, a thought struck me. A cold, calculating thought that felt less like the wife I had been and more like the CEO I had become. Daniel wanted a quick, clean break. He wanted to discard me because he thought I was dead weight. He was planning a new life with Amanda, fueled by whatever cash he could scrape together, likely believing he was trading up. Little did he know, while he was planning his exit, I was closing the deal of the decade. I reached for my fountain pen, the cool metal grounding me. Sometimes, the best response isn't a scream. It isn't a fight. It's simply signing your name, stepping back, and letting people reveal exactly who they are. I signed the divorce papers. 3 days later, I sat in a conference room that smelled of leather and intimidation. My attorneys, Barbara and Cole, sat across from me in their sleek downtown Palo Alto office. The table was covered in two distinct piles of paperwork: the end of my marriage and the beginning of my fortune. The timing was almost poetic. I was signing away my failed past with my left hand and securing my future with my right. "Ms. Kennedy," Barbara said, peering over her rimless glasses, her brow furrowed in concern. "You understand that by not contesting the divorce or disclosing the pending sale now, Mr. Harrison will have absolutely no claim to your business assets post-decree. If we finalize this today, the asset division is locked based on current disclosed valuations." I nodded, a ghost of a smile playing on my lips. I remember the night 6 months ago when I first hired the private investigator, Barbara. I hadn't done it out of jealousy. I did it because Amanda had started asking peculiar questions about our encryption keys and investor lists. The photos the PI provided of Daniel and Amanda holding hands at the French Laundry were painful, yes, but they were secondary to my fear of corporate espionage. "I understand perfectly," I replied, flipping to the final page of the settlement agreement. "Daniel made his choice. He stated clearly that I am financially useless. I see no reason to correct his assumption with an $80 million reality check." The acquisition team had been explicit: absolute confidentiality until the deal closed. Even my employees didn't know yet, though they would soon be receiving life-changing retention bonuses. "Very well," Barbara said, looking impressed. "Sign here." My phone buzzed on the table. It was a text from Michael, my VP of Engineering. "Amanda just submitted her resignation, effective immediately. Says she's pursuing an exciting investment opportunity." "Right on schedule," I murmured. "Should we be concerned?" Cole asked, catching my murmur. I shook my head. "No, just the expected departure of someone who thinks she found a golden ticket." I didn't mention that I had already transferred all of Amanda's access permissions to a sandbox account 3 days ago. It was a dummy drive. It looked like our main server, acted like our main server, but contained nothing but obsolete code and mocked-up user interfaces we used for sales demos. If she had downloaded anything, she had stolen a ghost. Later that afternoon, I sat in a booth at a local coffee shop, overhearing 2 of my junior developers talking. "Did you hear about Amanda?" one whispered. "She was bragging in the break room. Said she and her fiancé have inside knowledge on a proprietary trading algorithm. Said they're launching an exclusive fund." "Real estate and AI?" the other laughed. "Sounds like a buzzword salad." I sipped my black coffee, hiding my expression behind the cup. They were perfect for each other. Daniel and Amanda were both so blinded by avarice, so eager to skip the hard work, that they couldn't distinguish between a functioning product and a pretty interface. I went back to the office and finalized the integration checklist. Let them chase their dreams of easy money. I had a legacy to build. The deal closed on a Thursday. The champagne cork popped with a sound like a gunshot, signaling the start of a new era. Standing in the office kitchen, watching my team's faces light up as I announced the sale and their bonuses, I felt a profound sense of peace. "To Judith," Michael shouted, raising his glass. "The best boss who never once mentioned she was secretly a genius multimillionaire." The room erupted in applause. I smiled, feeling the warmth of genuine loyalty. This was real success. It wasn't built on flash or lies. It was built on code, sleepless nights, and integrity. My phone buzzed. It was Barbara. Divorce finalized. Harrison didn't contest a thing. He seemed in a rush. "Congratulations, Judith. You're officially single and significantly wealthier." I was about to reply when Tyler, my anxious accountant, hurried over. He looked pale. "Judith, can I speak to you?" he whispered. "I have a friend at First Bay Bank. He knows I work for you. He shouldn't have told me this, but Daniel just liquidated everything. He took out a massive hard money loan against his commercial properties. He's cashing out his 401k. Why? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. He's investing it all, Tyler said, eyes wide. Apparently, Amanda convinced him she has the source code for our predictive trading AI. They think they can start their own hedge fund tomorrow. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. Amanda did have files. She had the files I let her have. The dummy interface, the graphics, the marketing fluff. She didn't have the algorithmic engine. They were betting their entire lives on a car with no engine. That's interesting, I said calmly, taking another sip of champagne. I'm sure they know what they're doing. As I walked to my car that evening, a final text came in from my PI. Subjects just boarded a private charter, one way to the Cayman Islands. They look like they're celebrating. I turned off my phone, got into my car, and drove into the hills. I watched the sunset over Silicon Valley, the sky turning a bruised purple. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just waiting. Because gravity always wins. 2 months later, the silence broke, and it broke loud. I was deep in a strategy meeting with our new parent company, discussing the expansion of our AI into oncology research, when Lisa, my former assistant who had moved to the new accounting department, knocked on the glass door. Her face was ashen. "Judith, have you seen the news?" "No, Lisa, we're in the middle of..." "Turn on the TV, local business channel, now." I grabbed the remote. The screen flickered to life, showing a chaotic scene in front of a familiar office building, Daniel's real estate headquarters. A crowd of angry people, some holding signs, were shouting at a line of security guards. I recognized faces in the crowd, other real estate agents, Daniel's golf buddies, even the owner of the bistro where we used to have date nights. The chyron at the bottom of the screen read, "Exclusive investment fund collapses. Millions missing. Owners vanished." Daniel Harrison and his partner, Amanda Martinez, are currently wanted for questioning regarding a Ponzi-like scheme involving a revolutionary AI trading platform, the reporter said, shouting over the noise. Investors were promised 40% monthly returns based on proprietary technology. But this morning, the office is locked and the accounts are empty. I muted the TV. The conference room was dead silent. "Did you know?" the Titan Tech 5P asked me, his eyes narrowing. "I knew they were ambitious," I said, my voice steady, though my heart was racing. "I didn't know they were criminal." "They claimed the tech came from here," Lisa whispered. "The report says Amanda used stolen source code to verify the investment." I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Amanda stole a user interface demo. It's a glorified PowerPoint presentation. If they tried to trade with it, they didn't just steal money. They burned it. An hour later, 2 detectives were in my office. "Ms. Kennedy, or is it Ms. Harrison?" Detective Miller asked. "It's Kennedy. Ms. Kennedy," I corrected him. "How can I help you?" "We understand Ms. Martinez was your employee. Did she have access to your proprietary algorithms?" I pulled up the audit logs I had saved months ago. Here is the IT record. For the last 6 months of her employment, Amanda's access was restricted to administrative scheduling and the company's sandbox. She had 0 access to the core code. The detective looked at the logs, then at me. "So, when she showed investors live trading data..." "It was a simulation," I said. "A video game. It always wins because it's programmed to look good for sales meetings." The detective let out a low whistle. They leveraged everything. Daniel Harrison convinced 30 people to mortgage their homes. He put in every dime he had. He told everyone he was leaving his, quote, "financially useless wife to build a real empire." "The timing is ironic," I said, offering a tight, humorless smile. Do you know where they might be? My last information suggested the Cayman Islands, I said, but that was 2 months ago. The Cayman accounts were drained last week, the detective said grimly. They moved the money to crypto. Then they moved physically. We think they're running. After the police left, I sat alone in my office. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the floor. I thought about Daniel. I thought about the man I had married, who was so desperate to feel superior, so desperate to be the provider, that he became a thief. He had called me useless while I was building a fortune. He had called me incompetent while he was being conned by his own mistress using my dummy data. My phone buzzed. It was Barbara, my lawyer. The FBI just contacted us. They found digital footprints. Daniel tried to remotely access your servers 3 nights ago. He was trying to hack the real algorithm. My blood ran cold. Did he get in? I typed back, no, your security blocked him. But, Judith, this isn't just fraud anymore. It's corporate espionage. He's facing federal time. I looked out at the bustling office floor, where my team was working on technology that would eventually cure diseases. Daniel had tried to steal that, too. I closed my laptop. The game wasn't over. He was cornered, desperate, and dangerous. 6 months post-acquisition, I stood on a stage in San Francisco. The lights were blinding, hot against my skin, but I felt a cool, calm clarity. Real innovation isn't about the quick exit, I told the auditorium packed with 2,000 tech leaders. It isn't about the flash. It's about building something that solves a fundamental human problem. Success is measured in lives improved, not just dollars gained. Behind me, a screen displayed the results of our medical AI pilot program. We'd improved early-stage cancer detection rates by 40% in participating hospitals. The applause was thunderous. As I walked off stage, clutching the Innovator of the Year award, the contrast between my reality and Daniel's could not have been starker. While I was shaking hands with the CEO of Microsoft, the Wall Street Journal was publishing an exposé on the Harrison Martinez scandal. I retreated to the green room and pulled up the article on my tablet. It was brutal. It detailed how Daniel and Amanda had lived like royalty in the Caribbean for 6 weeks, posting lavish photos, until the returns came due. When the simulation code failed to generate money, because it couldn't, they had panicked. They had tried to run. Ms. Kennedy? I looked up. A federal agent was standing in the doorway of the green room. He looked tired. We thought you'd want to know, he said quietly. Interpol picked up Daniel Harrison this morning. He was trying to cross the border from Argentina into Brazil using a fake passport. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Is he... He's in custody. He's being extradited back to the U.S. to face charges of wire fraud, grand larceny, and computer crimes. And Amanda? I asked. The agent grimaced. She's gone. We found security footage of her boarding a flight to Dubai alone 2 days before Daniel was caught. She emptied their shared crypto wallet before she left. She stranded him, Ms. Kennedy. She took the money and left him with nothing but the blame. I sat down on the velvet sofa, staring at the award in my lap. It was heavy, solid glass. Karma hadn't just struck. It had been precise. Daniel had left me for a younger woman, thinking I was a financial burden. In the end, that woman had stolen every penny he had, ruined his reputation, and left him to rot in a foreign jail cell. He had wanted a partner in crime. He found one. And she played the game better than he did. Thank you for telling me, I said. There will be a trial, the agent said. We might need your testimony regarding the software. I'll be there, I said, I have nothing to hide. I walked out of the back door of the convention center, avoiding the press. My driver was waiting. "Where to, Ms. Kennedy?" "The office," I said. "We have a climate modeling update to run." 1 year later. The federal courthouse was gray and imposing, a monolith of judgment. I sat in the back row, wearing a simple black suit. Daniel stood before the judge. He looked 10 years older. His hair was thinning, his expensive tan replaced by a prison pallor. He wore an orange jumpsuit that hung loosely on his frame. "Mr. Harrison," the judge said, her voice echoing in the chamber, "you have pleaded guilty to 17 counts of fraud. You destroyed the retirement savings of teachers, firefighters, and your own friends. You acted out of greed and hubris." Daniel didn't look up. He didn't look back at me.
I don't think he could bear to.
"I sentence you to 12 years in federal prison," the judge declared. "Restitution is ordered in the amount of $5 million. It was a life sentence for a man like him. He would come out in his mid-40s with nothing. No money, no career, no credibility. As the bailiffs led him away, the shackles clinking softly, I felt a strange lack of satisfaction. It wasn't joy, it was just closure. A book snapping shut. I walked out into the bright California sunshine. Barbara was waiting for me. "It's done," she said. "Oh, and the asset seizure team finished their sweep. They found his last hidden account." "How much?" I asked. $42,000, she said. "That's it. That's all that was left of his empire. Amanda took the rest. She's still a ghost." I nodded.
Let the FBI worry about her.
I have a commencement speech to give. Later that afternoon, I stood at the podium at Stanford University, looking out at the sea of graduates in their caps and gowns. They looked hungry. They looked ambitious. "The world is full of people looking for shortcuts," I told them. "People who think value is something you can fake. People who think wealth is a number in a bank account rather than the result of solving hard problems." I paused, thinking of the $800 million acquisition, the medical breakthroughs, the climate models saving villages in Southeast Asia. "My ex-husband once told me I was financially useless," I said, going off script for the first time. A ripple of laughter went through the crowd. They knew the story. It had been dubbed the tale of two paths by the media. He measured worth by flash. I measured it by substance. Today, he is in a cell, and I am standing here telling you this. The only currency that matters is reality. Build something real. Build something true. And never, ever let someone who is chasing a mirage tell you that your map is wrong. After the ceremony, a young woman approached me. She was clutching her diploma, her eyes shining. "Miss Kennedy," she said breathlessly, "I read about your climate AI. It's the reason I switched my major to engineering. I want to build things that matter." I smiled, a genuine, warm smile that reached my eyes. "Then you're already richer than he ever was," I said. I walked back to my car, my phone buzzing with updates from my team. We had a new breakthrough in renewable energy optimization. There was work to do. There were problems to solve. Daniel had chased a shadow and fallen off a cliff. I had kept my head down, built a foundation of stone, and reached the sky. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply continuing to ascend until the people who doubted you are too small to see.